How much money do you need to live comfortably in these American cities? This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Hello and welcome to the focus group. Can you believe it's August 28th? And John likes to always give you the update of what week it is or day it is or whatever. Is there anything about today that's August 28th?
It's it's like the third or fourth week of the 8th month of the now tired old year. It used to be the new year.
We're on our way to Labor Day. Thanks for joining us. We're here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East. And be sure to also catch our weekly podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned, which comes out every Tuesday morning as well. Learn all about us at focusgroupradio.com or any of our social media, which is branded Focus Group Radio. That's YouTube, Facebook. If you want to look at us on iHeartRadio or Spotify or any of those other places, Apple Podcasts, that's where you find us. So, Mr. Nash, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm getting ready. I was not gonna spring. It's not my intention to spring this on you.
Spring? Are you quitting?
No, but you and I have always said for years that New Year's resolutions we don't even pay attention to, but fall resolutions are what I think is the start of a fresh new.
Well, kids are going back to school, right? It's a new year, a new school year.
School year, new things. So I'm like. Off the top of your head, what would you like to accomplish between September 1 and August 31st of next year?
Same as every year. I'd like to lose weight.
Okay.
Get in better shape. I don't know. That's a good question. What would I like to do between now and then?
What do you want to get done in that year? What would you like to accomplish?
I'd like to get my living situation figured out. Whether I keep my house in Philadelphia and move to a smaller place. I've got two very senior dogs, and I need to figure out how the three of us can live comfortably together. And so I need to figure that out. Or if I stay in my house, I need to figure out some new bathrooms or something to that effect. So there's a living. I need to get my living.
That's a whole year project.
Yeah.
There was I remember the year I concluded. The November I graduated from the animation program, even though I'd finished in August. The graduation was in November. And then the minute that was over, it was the new apartment. And it was the mortgage, the co-op board, it's the living situation, moving, That occupied a full year. You could actually say that from the beginning of that to the end and feeling like you're at a new place, that's a year. So
we opened up the show with, can you afford to live in these American cities? And we're going to later on today in the show talk about 25 cities in America and what you would have to make to live comfortably in a 2-bedroom apartment. And when I look at some of the cities that I'd like to live in, it's almost more cost effective for me to just stay in my house.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But what do you have? What would you like to do?
For me, I would like to continue my program of purging.
Oh, for God's sakes, you have nothing left to purge.
There's things. All right, so
what do you have to get rid of?
Take for example, we have a chest, like a wooden chest upstate, and I don't know, it's like an old thing, big. Open a lid up, and it's filled with scale model kits from Star Wars and Star Trek. So, back in the 90s. When I had my first agency, so it was Mulroney Nash, and it was towards the end of that. I wasn't like, I thought I was not happy. Things were going on there, so I thought I'm going to repurchase all the kits I built as a kid, and I'll rebuild them, and I'll be super happy. So I buy all these old model kits that I had built as a kid: Luke Skywalker's X-wing fighter, the Cylon Raider from Battlestar Galactica, whatever. They all arrive. It wasn't like it was a costly thing. You're talking $15 here, $20 there.
Put them together?
No. I looked at the boxes. I love looking at the side. Here's how it could be painted. Here's where the decals go. And they promptly went in a box. They went in the chest. So now the question is, do you just donate them or do you sell them? Are they even worth anything? So if you go online, people don't build models anymore.
No. I never understood why you like those sci-fi models anyway. To me, they were just all gray.
They are gray or white. Yeah.
And you just
colored-
glue,
it's colored
glue gray
plastic.
pieces on gray pieces. It's all monotone. There was no excitement in
And
that
you
to
would
me.
spray paint it and weather it and make it look like it went through a battle or something.
Okay.
You could do that with airplanes or ships.
Yeah, I don't
or
know. I never
cars.
understood the model thing, but I always got it stuck in my fingers.
So that I would like to eliminate things like that. Like take I have a Hardy Boy book collection. I used to have like 60 Hardy Boy books, all the blue spine hardback ones. I don't need these. I do not need these. So what I did is I kept 1, 2, and 3 for my shelf to remind me that I had them, and I boxed up the other ones, and they're being sent to my cousin Jim down south to give to his first grandson.
Why did Nash send us this crap?
Well,
You know, you're like my grandmother in Canada when she was just getting rid of things. And, you know, at first we were kind of upset by it. There were certain things that she did get rid of that we wish she had kept. For some reason, she burned all her photographs. She burned all their photos, which we don't understand why.
that's
But,
a bit weird.
yeah, we would like to have had those,
Yeah,
but she got rid of everything. There was very little, by the time she passed, there was very little left. She didn't want to be a burden to anybody, and she had everything marked, and you're a little bit like her.
Well, and then a couple other things. You and I a few months ago redid our resumes and our LinkedIn profiles, our business papers, like our business passports and visas.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And there are some inconsistencies on mine. Like, so I had to have my resume redone once again when I realized it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. But now, like, I looked at your LinkedIn profile and I thought, oh, I like the way Tim does this, this, and this. So I had to copy that. But little things like that, saying to yourself, I'm taking 3 hours to conform and finalize. I have the file, the link, and everything's all set up.
Are you getting any contacts on LinkedIn? Here's my problem with LinkedIn.
no.
You know what I'm getting? Solicitations from people who want to be our accountant.
Yep.
They want to sell me life insurance. They want to help us get more leads. They want to help us with ROI. We don't need help.
Well, I don't mind.
But people are using it as a contact thing rather than saying, hey, would you like to work on XYZ sort of business for us, or would you be interested in a consulting project? That's what I thought we were going to get.
No.
I didn't want to get a solicitation for an accounting firm.
And, you know, like Bob's been getting calls from recruiters.
I didn't get those.
But
Not that we
but
would.
the
I guess you have
reason-
to say you're open to it.
You're open to it, but you and I have often talked to people. We've interviewed people about this. We've mentioned this to our listeners. The best time to find the new job is while you have a job.
Yeah.
So when you're in a current job, you will definitely get recruited, talked to, the whole bit. So back to the resume thing, though. You know, the thing that fascinates me about it is, for job seekers, I hope everybody knows that 93% of the jobs that you apply for online, a computer scans your resume, and it kicks out a little 3-sentence thing about who you are. So, you know, you and I had a consultant. I had not had a resume done since I was 23, and it's several years ago. Paid someone to do it. They did a beautiful two thing. And I would just send it out randomly to things that were perfect fits. In my opinion, it was like either overqualified or right on the money. Not a peep. And I've heard this from other professionals who are our peer group, like my friend Amy, for example. Then I just Googled one day, what's wrong with my resume? And I found a website that actually, for free, will scan your resume. A human being reviews it. I got this note back, and the woman said, I think I told you this before, right? She
Yeah.
said, by the way, it's beautiful, but computers don't care how it looks. They read left to right, up and down. And she said, and here's what the computer sees when your resume goes in. It literally said this: John Nash has about 20 years of marketing experience, period.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, how much so then did you have to pay this woman to redo the resume?
$135.
And what did they do?
They redid it. It's one page now. It
They
looks
redid it based off of what you
what
had.
we had, yes.
So
Which,
you didn't have to go fill out all kinds of papers again.
no, and you would never. And she
I
said,
probably should get this name from you.
she said you would never have been able to do the one page if you had not spent the time to do the 2-page or the longer one. So now this one looks strangely like some of the resumes we had out of college.
Did you put it up online?
So then she sent me what the scan was, and the scan was John Nash is a creative director of this many years experience as a storyteller, brand, you know. It literally was like, oh, that's me, if you were just thinking of me as a creative director. When I reposted that, when I took the old one down and put the new one up on LinkedIn, that's when the feed started to change a bit. So I don't get a lot of stuff from LinkedIn. I try to keep that at a minimum. But if something comes in now, it'll be like, here's a job you might be interested in. And 9 times out of 10, it's closer to what you would expect than it was before.
before.
But here, I guess the whole point here is there's no, like, we're talking about fall resolutions, right? There's no good time, bad time to do it, but I think staying on top of these things is good. Me and Tim use these documents for when we go publicly. When people ask us to speak at organizations or do public speaking, they're like, can we see your resume? We're like, sure. But it just served to further remind me that the world that we entered, the job world, the workforce we entered way back when is gone.
Gone. You're
You know,
right.
me and Tim had a spirited conversation the other day about some of our first interviews. Sometimes you'd actually interview for a job you had no intention of taking, or you weren't really interested in, but you met the person, they liked you, you liked them. We'll give it a go. You know, now you can't have that happen now, right?
No.
With the computer stuff.
That's how I got my first job out of college. I didn't show up, and the recruiting person called me, and I literally took a dirty pair of pants out of the laundry
basket.
and threw on a shirt and a blue blazer, and I went up and interviewed with zero
But what company was
interest.
this?
LTV Steel.
Which ended up being a really cool career,
And
right?
I missed the first interview.
You never
and
told me this dirty
the recruiter says, and the woman at the career center is like, you've got to come up here. They're waiting for you. He's going to put you toward the end of the day. I'm like, I'm not interested. Because my economics professor said steel's going out of business. The Japanese have taken it over. All right. All correct. Russians are dumping steel in. So I get up there, and the guy was quite funny. And he says, so you didn't show up for the interview? I said, I'm not interested. He's like, well, I'm only talking to the top scene, blah, blah, blah. Gives me this line of crap. And he said, here's everyone else who's come interview today. Tell me why you're better than all of them. And I want honest opinion of each person. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, this one's done nothing except stay in her room.
Was this a college recruiting?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So he gives me a list of everybody else. He goes, you know all these kids? I said, yeah. He goes, well, tell me why you're better than all of them. I'm like, well, this one does nothing. I said, she stays in her room all the time. She may have good grades. This one, and I went through the whole thing, and next thing I know, I got a job offer.
You remind me. So my first on-campus interview was with Lord and Taylor. And I was up against a bunch of friends of mine and fellow students who really wanted the job. And my friend Stacy at the time, she's like, yeah, I don't want you going. She goes, you don't want this job. I'm like, I gotta get the experience. I have this cheap new gray suit I gotta wear. I didn't call it cheap. And a red tie. I go in, I had an instant rapport with the woman. She was from New York, or she grew up in Connecticut. I'm in Binghamton, right? So
Right.
I was in New York, but we had started talking about Jimmy's of Savin Rock, whatever. Then they post the list 2 days later of the students that were
Callbacks.
invited to fly down to New York for callbacks. Callback, and I'm right on the list.
Oh, there you go.
Stacy was, because she didn't make it, she was furious. You don't even want that job. You don't even want that job.
And that's why you did well.
They fly us down, and all the interviews at Lord and Taylor, it was so weird. So, in a retail environment like a department store, the floor space is critical.
Yep.
So all the offices are like at the sides of the store. So everything's like
Back house.
tiny little narrow offices. Even the luxury offices were like these little cubby holes. I interview everybody I meet with, and the day progresses. And as the day goes on, I see less and less of the people that were there in the morning until finally I'm being offered a job at Lord & Taylor.
You're kidding me. Why didn't you take it?
Well, it was to be an assistant buyer.
Right, and you would have been a bazillionaire now. You know how much those money those merchants make? Oh, you never told me this. You didn't take the job?
No.
Why?
I was going to be a graphic designer. I want to be a
idiot.
designer.
Your
So,
whole life would have changed, Nash.
well,
You've been running the Lord and Taylor down here in town.
let's
out of
go. Let's
business.
wind the clock back to my acceptance to UCLA
goodness.
when I was end of my freshman year. Remember, I was going to transfer to UCLA, but
That's a whole different
That's
issue.
a whole different story. So talk about a life change there. We might not even know each other right now. We would
No,
still.
you'd be in the movies.
Well, I doubt that. A lot of flotsam and jetsam lands up in LA, washes up on the shores of, I'm going to be rich and famous and popular and big, and it just ends up, can I take your order, please?
We never said hello to Garrett and Steve and
Dante.
Dante, how you boys doing?
Finally.
We're not allowed to say. We got yelled at again for
Can we
calling
talk
you.
now?
We got yelled at again for calling you the boys in the booth. We were told we were ignorant white men. I think that's what we were.
Well, you
called.
are, but it's nothing to do with that.
Why are
We
you
the boys in the
echoing?
booth.
What do you want, a little
Well, because
box?
no.
You got an echo.
Oh,
Hear that echo? It's got a little echo.
no, it's all broken.
No, that's fine now. It was just, the game was up. So you guys are doing good. Studio's closed soon, but are you going away anywhere?
No.
Garrett, what are you doing?
I don't think so.
Nothing planned with the girlfriend?
No.
Hey, look, I'm a staycation guy too. We're going upstate, and then we're going to visit Tim for a few days down at the beach.
We're going to Portugal in October.
Oh my God, you're gonna have an amazing time.
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
hear that's a great place.
I haven't been, so yeah, I have no idea.
I've only done Spain, but everybody I know who's done Portugal
Yeah, they
said
love
it's
it.
a really friendly, beautiful country. And you said, when are you going?
October,
Oh, you're gonna have like perfect weather.
hopefully.
Yeah. Try. You're not gonna have the.
Are you going to get engaged there or something?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I've seen him turn a little red. I can see through the glass.
No, it's my dad's.
You don't have to explain.
His girlfriend's on
Don't have to
vacation.
explain.
They asked us to go. It
don't
wasn't
have-
like I planned this thing and it's a big thing.
I was going to say, you're not much of a planner.
Garrett's proposing.
I'm definitely not proposing.
Just bring a bar of soap.
Wait, I was literally gonna go to the soap thing. Yeah.
So what caught your eye this week, Mr. Nash?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Threw him
What
off
about
there.
Portugal?
So it's funny. I've often wondered why all family members always give me the go-to gift item is always something Star Wars related. Now, I saw
Because that's you.
I saw it when I was a Boy Scout after Boy Scout camp when I was 13, I think. I saw the original movie. I have the original poster that was hanging at the Naugatuck Valley Mall. You know the cinema
Yeah.
that we used to go to? The guy gave it to me out of the case. It's framed. It's been linen backed. I have it hanging in my office, and I'm like, Bob, the sun's going to damage it. He goes, by the time the sun damages it, you're going to be dead.
Love Bob.
Yeah, but it's the reason you love him. He sounds like you. So I always cry foul about this Star Wars thing until I do what I'm about to do right now, which might caught my eye as a Star Wars item. But it's not what you think. So the headline reads, Luke Skywalker wanted for theft in Tennessee.
Is that
So
Luke?
Look at that mugshot. That guy's name is Luke Skywalker. A man named Luke Skywalker was wanted in Tennessee on Wednesday, months after he was arrested for allegedly violating probation in connection with a felony theft charge. Skywalker, 22, was wanted by the Carter County Sheriff's Office for theft of property over $1,000. Following his arrest in December, the Johnson City man caught the attention of actor Mark Hamill, who portrayed Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars films. And so this guy earned a tweet from Mark Hamill, which I think is the coolest thing. He could take this with him. It's not worth much, but so Mark Hamill tweets, the real crime here is Mr. and Mrs. Walker saddling this poor guy with that name in the first place, Hamill tweeted alongside the hashtags misbegotten moniker and the other one was, and also too short for a stormtrooper. That's a line from, aren't you short for a stormtrooper that Princess Leia
His
says?
name's Luke Walker, and they gave him the middle name Sky.
Yeah,
Must be Luke Skywalker.
exactly.
Let's get that Justin Bieber comb forward.
Well, do you think at a young age he may be going a little bald in the front there?
No, it's just got that Bieber push forward. He's a young kid, right? Do you think? But 20s?
You know, I remember when I was in my 20s going to get my hair cut, and you're a guy, you don't know what to do with it, and the woman who would cut my hair, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Okay, I had plenty of hair. Years later, I look back on that fondly thinking, wow, I remember when I had hair.
This is a mugshot, so he probably didn't have time to primp.
No. But I almost think he's wearing headphones, too.
Kind of like the name, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know, shit like it?
So that's, I'm
I had
sorry.
a car dealer named Cliff Diver.
Cliff Diver.
His name was Cliff, and his last name was Diver.
Love it. Okay.
Cliff Diver, right?
So here we are at the deep, deep, deep dregs of summer. It was a minor little thing. It caught my eye.
That's what caught my eye. That's what's great about Caught My Eye.
Okay.
This one that I saw has been on social media, and as of yet, I don't think they've located the people. But the headline is, do you recognize the gay grooms from this lost 1957 photo of pictures?
Wait. 1957.
So in 1957, these two guys ended up getting married in their house in North Philadelphia. And they took pictures of the wedding. So if you're watching on the video, there's pictures of the two guys. Then there's the ceremony, them cutting the cake. And then there's other pictures of the other people that had attended the wedding, plus someone that was in some sort of drag. And they said that they actually think the drag thing is important in terms of how to identify who these guys are. So what had happened was these black and white photos, after the pictures were taken, the film, because back then used a camera, it says, sadly, the men never saw their wedding photos as they were confiscated by the owner of the store where they took them in to be developed. And the guys never showed back. I guess they were embarrassed or whatever. Imagine how scared or upset they must have been.
In the old days with photo processing, as the photos came off the machine, you could actually see each one before it cut them. Wow.
And so there was a woman who worked in the store, and this girl, she had since died, and her daughter found these pictures in her mother's belongings. It said, my mother had a somewhat photographic memory for faces, and she retained these photos in the event that the customers who dropped them off ever came back to the store, and she would slyly give them to them. So she said, after this woman who had the pictures, they never found the guys who got married, she'd given to it was called One Archives in L.A., who turned them over to the John Wilcox Archives in Philadelphia. And now they're looking for who these guys are, and they're trying to figure out, they expect they're in their 90s right now. And,
they're in their 20s.
Said the grooms are surrounded by a number of men, including one who appears in drag, suggesting that they may have worked in an industry where homosexuality was more accepted. Drag only happens in communities where it's done with other people who will also do drag or accepting of it, according to the Wilcox Archives in Philadelphia. There's also, in the end of July, a team of filmmakers are now also joining the search and trying to investigate the mystery of these 1957 wedding photos. They said we're drawn to the stories of bravery, where these men lived, how they lived, what threats they may have done to have done this in such a time where it was unaccepted. 60 years later, we have photos. But there's a painful gap between the past and present. How did they live their lives as a couple? What barriers did exist for them in the 50s? And what repercussions did they face? So they said that everybody's kind of curious about this, and they want to see if anybody recognizes who these guys are. So it's all over social media in Philly. And actually the UK picked it up in some other places to see if someone recognizes the guys.
Really, really cool.
Kind of cool story, I think.
Yeah, and it
said sodomy laws in all states then, said they said it was very bold for them to take the pictures as sodomy laws prohibited gay sexual relationships in all states at the time. So it looks like it was a serious thing. It doesn't look like a mockery.
One of those pictures. Hey, Steve, could you zoom in to the top picture on the left, the guy with the glasses?
Is that your father?
I took a look at this picture. I wish I had it with me, but I could show you a picture of my dad, and it's almost a spitting image. The haircut and the glasses. The face structure is not the same.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Carol, are you watching?
But, those glasses were popular in that time period. But I took one look, and I'm like, uh-oh, but it wouldn't have been Philly, so.
It's interesting, because you think about it, 1957, I mean, right?
Oh, it's really, totally. I think that's a really cool one.
So if anybody knows them, let us know.
If you're watching, yeah.
So our business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
This one actually bores me, but it is her birthday today. Sheryl Sandberg, born August 28th, 1969. She's 50 today, half a century old. You know her?
Yeah, was she the CFO or CMO?
American technology executive, author, and billionaire. She's the chief operating officer of Facebook and founder of leanin.org. She was elected to the board of directors at Facebook by existing board members in 2012, becoming the first woman to serve on the board. Prior to that, she worked at the Google, where she was involved in launching their philanthropic arm. How tough could that have been?
She worked at the Google. I went to the Google machine.
She worked for Google, giving money away, philanthropic. How tough is that? Oh, you want to get you deserve money?
Yeah, take it.
What I find funny about this, there's a whole bunch of things about her. I won't get into it. But she went to Harvard, and she knew Lawrence Summers, which really she needs to thank for her career. He hired her at the U.S. Treasury before she went over to the Google.
Was that before he was secretary?
It was. He was at Harvard, and then he became secretary of the Treasury under Clinton, hires her. You know what her job was there? She was going to forgive debt to countries that owed the U.S. money. I mean, again, how tough was that?
You're forgiven.
Don't forgive the debt. Let us have a military base. I mean, what's the negotiation? You owe us $1 billion. Give us a base.
We want that little piece of land right there. Yeah.
One thing I did find funny, though, so how she met Zuckerberg, I don't think this is racist or profiling, but so Zuckerberg, Rosenwig, and Sandberg were at a Christmas party. It says she was one of the top Jewish people, influential Jews in the world. So they were at a Christmas party, which I think is funny. That's how they met.
You could almost have started that by saying, yeah, a clown, a priest, and a rabbi walk into a bar. I mean, I'm making that up, but...
No, I started laughing when I read this because it talks about her Jewish heritage and so forth. And then she says she met Mark Zuckerberg at a Christmas party. He talked to her for a little bit and thought she'd be perfect to bring into Facebook until he blamed her, apparently, for the Cambridge Analytics debacle at Facebook and the Russian scandal.
He blamed her for that?
Yep. He says, according to the Wall Street Journal, during a meeting, Mark Zuckerberg blamed Sandberg personally for the outcome of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, stating that Zuckerberg blamed her and her teams for the public fallout over the debacle. She confided in friends that she was upset. Wall Street Journal labeled her the typhoid Mary of surveillance capitalism. Then she wrote a book called Lean In about how women really need to get over it and really, need to push forward and be top of their game and so forth and so on. And I thought the best review came from First Lady Michelle Obama. In reference to the book, former First Lady Michelle Obama said of Sandberg's belief that women can always have it all. Michelle Obama said that's a lie. It's not always enough to just lean in because that shit doesn't work all the time, Michelle Obama reportedly said. Happy birthday.
And by the way, she's right. And you used a word that my brain is struggling to wrap its pronunciation yet again around debacle.
It's debacle. Well, you always say debacle, which is wrong.
But did you see how hard it was for me to say debacle?
Debacle.
Because I want to say
Why do you say debacle?
I have no idea why.
If you go to how'd you say it.com on the Google machine and you hit it in, it'll say
Debacle.
Debacle.
I don't know, Tim.
You've always said debacle. There's a couple other ones you do that and I think you're just doing it to be.
No. Literally, when you said it, I wanted to correct you, but I'm like, no, Tim taught me that's the right pronunciation. Whatever.
Like last week you were talking to one of the boys here about pomade.
Pomade.
It's pomade.
Pomade. Okay.
I put pomade in my hair. He's like, I thought it was pomade. Well, that's called pomade.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anyway, so listen. You look. Speaking of grooming products, Mr. Nash, you look like $1 million. You got to take care of your moneymaker.
Thank you.
So we welcome one of our newest sponsors here, Lumen, and it's skincare for men. And what we love about it is, men often spend so much money on things like exercise, the gym, and clothing, and hair care, but they spend little on taking care of their face, and we like to call our face the moneymaker. So you really need to take care of your face. These products are made exclusively and formulated for men's skin, which is different than women's. And John and I have been using the products now for a couple of months. And you really can't tell the difference, I think, when you put it on and you use the scrub.
I was so looking forward to this little segment we're doing on Lumen. So a couple weeks ago, we had Patrick Pan on, who is the CMO of Lumen. Fun guy, fun interview. And he talked about his regimen, which was the exfoliator, the scrub, and then the moisturizer, and he does it morning and night, whatever.
For under like 90 seconds. It's not like you're spending all kinds of time.
And by the way, if you talk to Tim, like you could. So I thought I'm going to start doing this every night. So I do it I couldn't be happier with the products. It's so easy to use, and I'm not making it up. It's like they feel great. Your skin feels great afterwards. And I noticed over the next several days, a lot of stuff started just, the exfoliating thing does a great job of getting rid of some stuff.
Well, particularly in the summer with the sweat and the dirt.
I break out really easy, and I had a dermatologist. I think when Patrick was on, I mentioned the story. He goes, you want to stop breaking out? Stop sweating.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, no biking, no gym, no nothing. I'm like, that's not a solution, but this stuff is really great. And here's the best part. Give it a shot. If you go to Lumen Skin, LUMINSKIN, lumenskin.com/focus, only for the cost of shipping, which is $5.95, you're going to get I think it's the classic maintenance kit.
Yep.
Which is this charcoal-based scrub we've been talking about. The exfoliator, the scrub, which, by the way, Tim, you're not lying. Literally the size of a dime.
Yeah, it's just a little dollop.
And it lathers up. Like you put more on, you're wasting it. And then there's a moisturizer. And then Patrick gave you a hydration thing
for dry skin.
He gave me something for under eye stuff, which I think has actually been been working.
I noticed. I could see the glow in your face.
And so again, lumenskin.com/focus, $5.95. Give it a shot. And, you know, if you only use 2 of the 3 products they send you, it would be the exfoliator and the scrub, I would say, right?
Well, it's a $45 value.
Yeah.
And when you do sign up, they'll ask for your credit card to pay for the shipping. And then you have the option to have it renew every 2 months or whatever. Or you could just sample the products and see how you like them, sign up later. But for $5.95 to get this $45 kit, it's more than worth it. And I've been telling friends to do it and encourage you guys to do it as well.
It's worth a shot, and I honestly think you'll like the product. And it's simple, and that's what I think, not to be too stereotypical, guys like. All right, we are going to take a quick break here on the Focus Group, and when we return, we have a shop talk for you about the cost of living in some of the about 25 different cities here in America, and it's a big range. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group and my glowing skin.
I'm glowing too. I glow too.
Glow too, John.
That reminds me, can I just interject quickly?
Go ahead.
I was in group therapy years and years ago, and
My
this guy
goodness.
was telling the story, and everybody's getting emotional. I was sitting there stone-faced, and he points at me and goes, see, you don't feel.
You don't feel, Nash.
I feel. So anyway, I have glowing skin too.
Glowing
I
skin,
feel.
too. Be sure to like us and join us and call us and rate us and all that other stuff at all our social media. Go to www.focusgroupradio.com to learn.
Remember when people used to
about us
always
and
say
all
the
of our- I know, that's why I did.
www dot.
and all the platforms where we're available. So we're going to, we've got a shop talk here, which we're going to go through some of the cities pretty quick until we get probably to the top 10, which I think are probably the most.
Put together by
relevant.
Smart Asset.
Yes, it's the, so the title is the salary you would need to comfortably afford rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in the 25 largest U.S. cities. And and they did this based upon Zillow, which is the
Dubious.
for sale and rental.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but you know.
What I thought was interesting about this is they always said that you should spend no more or about 30% of your salary on rent or living expense. And what they did here is they used 28%, and they ranked these cities from 25 to number 1. Not too many surprises here, I don't think. But if you want to start it off, John, with
I'll do like the first 5. So
backwards,
going backwards, the one of the least expensive would be Memphis, Tennessee. Average 2-bedroom rent is $814 a month. Annual income needed to support that. You can get by in Memphis for making about $35,000 a year.
pretty darn good.
Yeah. Then there's Detroit, Michigan. Average 2-bedroom is $831. Average annual income for that would be about $35,600.
I was surprised by that one because Detroit's had such a renaissance. I was surprised that you could get a nice
2-bedroom.
bedroom for $831. I think is. I think
agree.
you would struggle finding that.
Nowadays, that's why I think that whole Zillow thing is a little bit dubious. Next up is El Paso, Texas. And El Paso is about $875 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, requiring an annual income of $37,500. And then there's Indianapolis, Indiana, average 2-bedroom $915, annual income needed $39,000. Hey Tim, our friends Alex and Tyler, he's in University of Indiana, Bloomington.
Yeah.
So this, by the way, I have friends who just moved out to a friend of mine's getting a MBA in Indiana. And they were shocked at what you could know. Oh my God, we could have a garage. Well, yeah, you're not in Manhattan.
You're in Bloomington.
So why don't you take over from?
So number 21, one of my favorite cities, Columbus, Ohio, averages $1050, income $45,000. Number 20, San Antonio, too hot for me. $1,229 is your average 2-bedroom rent. Annual income $52,000 and change. Number 19 would be Phoenix. We got deserts too. You don't live in them. I don't know why people are living in the deserts.
Sam Kinison. You don't live in a desert.
$12.50 for rent. I again think that's kind of low. I don't know what you're going to get for $12.50 in Phoenix. Income $53,000, and quite frankly, I don't know how you live there on $53,000.
That's that one. I'm glad you brought that up because Phoenix is a
Phoenix
big
is
city.
expensive and
It's
it's a big
not
city.
cheap. Yeah.
Number 18, Jacksonville, Florida, in the Panhandle. You could have it. $12.79, $54,793. We won't be getting any of these sponsors.
No.
Number 17, my lucky number, Nashville, 1,500 average 2-bedroom is 1,500 annual salary, 64,286.
All right.
And then Houston, which is another huge city.
This was a
Four
head
city.
scratcher too. So they had a 2-bedroom at what, 1,500?
1,525. Yeah.
Annual income 65,000. That to me, I don't know. Houston's a busy city and it's big. And
Like the fourth largest city now. It surpassed Philly, but of course, when they do
so then
on
we
land mass.
moving on. Number 15, we have Charlotte, North Carolina. A 2-bedroom rents for $1,526, and an annual income of $65,400 is required for that city, according to Zillow. The next one is Fort Worth, Texas. An average 2-bedroom is $1,600. I could buy that. Fort Worth is not the same as Austin, Houston, or Dallas, right?
But it's right next to Dallas. It's kind of Minneapolis, St. Paulish, I think.
Adjacent.
Yeah. Ceramic cows in the yard.
$68,571 is the annual income you would need to support that average rent of $1,600 for a 2-bedroom. Austin, Texas is up next. Average 2-bedroom rent $1,600. Annual income down there is about $69,000. I'm rounding up a little bit.
Austin is probably the most desirable of the Texas cities, I would guess.
And then here's one that I find: Philly, your town,
Yes.
again, Philly, PA. Average 2 bedrooms, $1,691. Annual income required to be in Philly for that would be about $72,450 a year.
Yeah, you're
Does
not
that
gonna,
jive with you?
Well, there are some sections of the city that are being gentrified, I guess.
You could find that?
You could find that. But generally, I think to find a nice, comfortable for a middle-aged person for $1,691 would be a little tough right now.
I thought you'd say that. All right, why don't you pick up from...
So number 11, Dallas, Texas. 1850 with 79,286. Poor Dallas. They're kind of like the Brazil of the United States. It's the up-and-coming city and always will be.
Always will be. I was just going to say, it's always up and coming.
Oh, we've got museums. We've got gay people. We've got this. We've got that. You're Dallas. I know we got a lot of Texas listeners, but
Well, we love Texas.
love Texas. Number 10, I was surprised so low. Chicago, having lived there. Average 2-bedroom, $1,895. I paid over $2,000 when I lived there 15 years ago, so I don't know where they're looking. Annual income needed $81,214.
By the way, I totally disagree with these numbers on Chicago. I think you could put Chicago right next to New York and San Francisco
Chicago.
and Boston, but anyway.
Yeah, Chicago are more DC-ish. Number 9, Denver, Colorado, 2151. Now, so that's right odd to me. So it's going to be more expensive to live in Chicago than Denver?
Or no, Denver is more, according to them,
Denver's more
money
expensive
than
than
yeah.
Chicago. Kind of odd to me. And then San Diego, beautiful city in California, 2,477 average 2-bedroom, which again I think might be a tad low, but these might all be averages. Annual income needed $100,000. I don't think you can live in California for under $100,000.
Frankly, and I have to agree with you because as I'm looking at these last batch of cities, they're all starting to make a little more sense. So next up after San Diego is Boston. Average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment they claim is $2,500. I can tell you in all honesty, knowing a lot of people in Boston, that is maybe. Annual income $107,000. Seattle, Washington. Another example of a statistic here. Talk to my niece about this. They could barely find something to live in Seattle, and they're claiming that a 2-bedroom's $2,700.
Yeah, and again, I think if you wanted to be right in Seattle,
You're not
the
paying-
city,
paying
it's going to be
$4,000.
different than if I go around it, right? So if I went to the area, the metropolitan area, so maybe that's the average with Zillow.
LA, average 2-bedroom, $3,000. I think you could probably pull that off in LA. LA is an interesting city in that there are a lot of pockets of affordability around things that are super expensive.
Yep.
And then we come to San Jose, which I would think San Diego is actually going to be more money than San Jose.
San Jose's got all the tech.
Oh, okay, that explains it. Yeah, $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. Washington D.C. is next up, and
So yeah, DC is 3,100 and comparable. Well, it's not comparable to Manhattan. So for $3,800 in Manhattan, and they didn't use the rest of New York. They specifically said Manhattan. So for number 2, Manhattan, $3,800 for a 2-bedroom. Does that jive with you guys?
Not
Comfortably.
really, guys. Do you even think that you can get a 2-bedroom for $3,800
Manhattan.
in Manhattan on the island?
And live nicely.
If I had a gun, yeah.
What do you think it would be? Rent.
$4,500 to $5,000.
Yeah,
something like
45
that.
sounds
Yeah,
right.
for 2 bedrooms.
But
Yeah.
I know people who pay $3,000 for a 1-bedroom and they're happy to have that. So,
Or they do the 1 bedroom and the living room
split
becomes
the-
another
yeah,
bedroom.
yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
what's our most
And
expensive
number 1,
city?
America's most overrated city. You can give us a call, Billy. San Francisco, which is twice as much as Denver. So the average 2-bedroom rent is $4,593. I probably do think that's low. An annual income needed $196,000. I think that's probably a little low too. San Francisco has become almost like Tokyo, I think, in terms of expense.
And all these
London.
numbers are way off because Tim and I both know people who have had companies relocate them to the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's tough.
And they've had to move an hour out of the city to afford a house even comparable to what they left on the East Coast.
Yeah, and I had a friend that actually the company gave them mortgage
Location.
assistance. No, mortgage assistance
Really?
to buy the house but you know, it's a beautiful. I mean, that whole
gorgeous.
Bay Area is gorgeous. You and I have our give and take about the city, about some of the issues they have that they need to clean up.
It's a beautiful
with.
area.
Right, it is a beautiful area, but it's expensive to live there. I mean, Pacific Heights is gorgeous and around the bridge and.
My God,
it's beautiful.
No, I can see the appeal. I've always liked San Francisco. I can see the appeal. Go down a layer, and that city
Some
has
social issues it
There's
needs
a
to
lot
take care of.
as any city, it has its problems, right? And particularly unique to California because of the weather.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's
they're exacerbated there.
all right. That's the show, folks. We hope you have had a great summer and that you're sliding into Labor Day thinking of the resolutions you want to make for this fall. Tim and I love this time of year because it's our version of New Year. It's a new start. Kids go back to school. The school across the street from me is going to start up again, and I kind of missed that. Once you get used to the sound of kids, you miss it. It's like, where are the kids playing? Because they scream all the time. You're like, oh, something's happening. No, but they're fine. All right, we want to thank Lumen for joining us on the program today. LumenSkin.com/focus. $5.95 shipping gets you a $45 value. It's a great skincare thing. I think you should just give it a try for $5.95. We're enjoying it. We like to say, don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we will see you in our new year, the fall. So take care.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.